everybody. Welcome to Motivated to Live, where we encourage and inspire one another to live our best lives. As you can tell by the title of this video, I am going to be discussing mental health during the pandemic. As you already know, if you are a subscriber to my channel or if you've watched any of my previous videos, you would already know that I am HIV positive. So being someone who is living with the disease already, in the midst of this pandemic, it creates a lot of stress and fear, if I'm honest. So I just wanted to make a video today to just talk about those things and talk about how I manage that. How do I cope with that? Because we've been in the pandemic for about 2 years now. So I think being someone who started out very, very afraid and has been able to stay the course and avoid catching it and just be healthy and to be able to still live a healthy and meaningful life. During the pandemic, I think that I have a few things to share, so hopefully it will be helpful to you guys. If you're interested, continue watching. Okay, so when the pandemic first started back in 2020, around about March, I would say, I was working in a job where I was listening in on conversations in order to provide translations for people who were deaf or hard of hearing. So with that being said, listening to those conversations, as you can imagine, there were a lot of people who were afraid, who were in a panic. And for someone like me who was trying to stay away from the news and not really listen to a lot of it because I kind of wanted to block it out because I was afraid of it. Being at work, it put it right in my face to where I could not ignore it. So all the fear and all the panic that was going on my phone calls started to spill over into my own psyche, and I just started having really bad anxiety attacks. So much so to the point where I would get nauseous and get sick because I'm so afraid. So I know a lot of people were saying, who are also living with HIV, a lot of people were saying, oh, it's no problem. We're on our antiretroviral medication and we're going to be fine. Well, the reason why I was so afraid of it is because when the pandemic first started, I was not in a good space. So I had not been taking my medicine for a while. So I was no longer undetectable. So at that time, I was very afraid because I knew I was no longer undetectable, and I also had a health condition. So I thought, I was going to be very susceptible to this disease. And I also had thoughts back to my mother and what happened with her. She passed away from complications due to AIDS. Those complications included pneumonia, respiratory failure, and those are also things that are associated with COVID-19. So I was very afraid, as I've already said, so much so to where I was literally getting sick because of the fear. So I had to find a way to get it together, basically, because at this point now I'm getting sick and nothing has even happened to me. So now, and that's typically how fear works. Fear makes us think of things that have not happened, things that may not ever happen, but we tend to become afraid of them because of our imaginations. So here are a few things that I did to help me during the pandemic to be able to manage that fear. The first thing I had to do was get back into care. I had to take care of myself. I had to get back on my medications. And I decided not only was I going to get back on my HIV medication, but I was also going to start mental health medication as well. Now, as you all may know, there is a lot of stigma associated with taking medication, especially in the Black community. There's a lot of stigma associated with medication in general, but when we talk about mental health medication, there's another level of stigma as well. But as someone who was suffering very bad and someone who really felt alone during those times, I would strongly advocate for medication and strongly advocate that you do what is necessary to take care of yourself. As long as there is science behind it and you have a trusted doctor who knows you and you know them well, do what you need to do for your own health. And for me, that was medication. A lot of times we hear people, mental health professionals and self-help gurus and motivational speakers We always like to talk about being present, being present, being present. For me to even get to the place where I could be present, I had to first take my medication to where I could get everything settled to where I could even be present to make the next decision, to make the next step, and to make the best step for my life. So yeah, that's the first thing that I would say is to get the help that you need, regardless of what other people say. Don't worry about the stigma. Don't worry about how people are going to judge you and what they're going to say. I know that can be that can be very scary at times. I understand that, but you have to be courageous to do the things that are necessary for your health. So yeah, that's my take on that. Just do what you need to do. The next thing that I did during the pandemic to help me with my mental health is natural resources. Take advantage of natural resources. Go outside, go for a walk, just take a chair outside, sit out in the sun, just take a look at the trees. Just being in nature in itself has wonderful effects on your mental health. So just doing that alone can help you drastically. So that is something that I did. If it wasn't taking a walk, it was just sitting outside, just taking in the fresh air. So another thing that I did was also watch what I consumed. So during the first beginning part of the pandemic, I was watching a lot of news. I wanted to watch the numbers and keep track of what cities in my area was being impacted and how they were being impacted. That proved itself to be a bad idea for me because that made my panic rise even more. That made the anxiety even worse. So I had to decide to switch the content that I was watching. So I decided to feed myself with positivity. I watched videos that were about motivation, about inspiration. I watched sermons such as Sarah Jake Roberts. I love her. She is my favorite at this time. Her and her father, T.D. Jakes. I love watching their videos just to get a boost in my spirit, something to keep me going. Iyanla Vanzant, I love watching her videos. She did daily videos during the first part of the pandemic, and I watched her videos. She would do meditations with her viewers. Um, Books, reading books, positive books, self-help books. I'm reading a book right now called Bamboozled by Jesus, and it is really good. Just feeding yourself with content, things like that, to just push you to feel positive when you can't and when you don't. If you don't have people around you, content. Go watch a YouTube video, listen to a podcast. These are things that you can find for free, just to lift your spirits and to fill your cup, fill yourself with positivity. Another thing that I did to keep myself sane during this pandemic is to take days off. Yes, we all need to work, we all need to take care of our families, but if you feel that you are reaching a certain level of pressure from the anxiety, from the fear, from whatever mental health issues that you may find yourself dealing with, do not be afraid to take time off. Take days off so that you can tend to yourself and you can take care of yourself. Your body, your entity is the most valuable thing that you have in this world. So you have to take care of yourself first before you can do anything. So do not be afraid to take days off. Another thing that helped me out tremendously during my mental health issues while this pandemic has been going on is having supportive friends and family. Having people who do not mind picking me up when I'm down. People who do not see that as a burden or a hard task to do. There are people in my life, and you may find people in your life who are very supportive, friends, family. If you don't have that family network, you can build that family network of people who you meet along the way. But it is important to have people in your corner who you can call on. I know at times when I was having an anxiety attack, I would get my phone and I would just call somebody. And that was like my saving grace, just being able to be on the phone with someone, mentors, who would just sit on the phone and talk with me and help me to get my mind off of those things and to focus on other things that could be accomplished during the pandemic. So yes, that was my tip: supportive friends and family. And if you don't have that, find it. Find your tribe. Build your tribe. Do what you can to get the things that you need in this life. So, last but not least, the last thing that I would say that helped me with my mental health during this pandemic is gratitude. I know that is a cliche at this point. We hear it all the time, be grateful, but it really is true. Someone who, like myself, is living with a condition, who um, you surviving every day is a blessing. You have to really take that in, and you have to really understand that every day that you are here to live another day is a blessing. Watching those numbers and seeing how many people have lost their lives to COVID, how many people are on ventilators and lost their quality of life for COVID, that just makes me grateful for being here another day. Grateful that I have not contracted COVID, grateful that I have been able to take care of myself, and even to get my viral load back to undetectable, back down to undetectable, being back into care, all of that, just being grateful to be healthy, being grateful to be here. Those are things that help me to get my mental state back to where it needs to be. So that is what I would leave with you guys. That is what I want to share with you. I hope that it can be impactful and I hope that it can be impactful and helpful to those who are watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave a comment below and let me know. Also like it and subscribe for more videos. Thank you. Bye.